Hello and welcome to the next installment of Alex's Nifty Top 50 as I take you through my 50 favourite board games of all time. And today we are on video number 4. We are on numbers 20 down to 11. That's right, we're approaching the top 10. These are the ones that just missed out on the big top 10. But that doesn't mean they're any bad games. These are great, wonderful, amazing games. I hope you've enjoyed the list so far. Please do if you've not. Go back into the channel and find the first 3 videos of this series that take you from 50 all the way down to 21. But now we are here in the top 20. I'm just going to crack straight on and tell you what I think is the 20th best game of all time that I've played. Normal caveats: if it's not on my list, I might not have played it, or I might not have enjoyed it as much as you. That is okay, because we're all wonderfully different. So this is number 20. In number 20, a very new game. This is 2024, so only last year it came out. This is called Flip 7. It says on the packet, the greatest card game of all time. Maybe a stretch, who knows? I've not played them all, I wouldn't know. But this is a great game. This is one of those classic games of do you risk taking another card, or do you stick with what you've got and hope that you carry on getting better? It's easy to get busted out at any point if you get 2 of the same, but it's easy just to let it rest and let other people take your points. Do you take the points you've got, or do you not? This game is really simple. In a deck of cards, you've got a 1, 2 2s, 3 3s, 4 4s, 5 5s, 6 6s, 7 7s, 8 8s, 9 9s, 10 10s, 11 11s, and 12 12s. You say hit or miss, and you take a card, and if that card, whatever that card number is, that's how many points it's worth. You then say hit or miss, you get another card. You can keep going, but as soon as you've got 2 cards that are the same number, you are out. So at any time you can stick and say, nope, I'm not going to take any more. I'm happy with what I've got, and that would be therefore your points. But do you want to get more points? Every time you go for more points, you risk losing all your points. Do you take more points, or do you risk losing them all? It's that constant choice. But of course, that would be a very simple game. It adds in these extra special cards. You've got cards that can double your score. You've got cards where you can freeze an opponent out. You've got a card called Flip 3, which means you have to flip 3 cards over, but you can give it to someone else. You can force someone else to flip 3 cards over, which might give them loads of points, but it might bust them as well. You've got cards that give you a second chance, like a get out of jail free card from Monopoly, where if you've got a number that you already had, you can just get rid of it and carry on. So that means you can always take another card. It's a constant game of, do you risk taking another card and possibly going out, but you might get more points? Really simple concept, but I think the way they've put it together, if you've got 10, 11 and 12, you're like, well, they're the most common numbers in there, so another card is really likely to be one of those 3, but I still want more points. And as an extra special rule, because it's called Flip 7, if you can get 7 numbers, so say you've got 2, 3, 6, 8, 9, 10 and 11, that'll be 7 numbers. If you can get 7, everyone has to stop immediately, and you get a bonus number of points as well. So there's an advantage to carrying on and taking the risk with bonus points. This is a super game. It takes seconds to learn how to play it, and it's fun for all the family. This is definitely a family weight. Let's all sit down and play the greatest card game of all time. This is number 20 on my list, Flip 7. Really like that game, but we move on. We move on to a game that is nothing like Flip 7 at all. We move on to the Quacks of Quedlinburg. I've got the original Quacks of Quedlinburg. I do not have the more modern. They brought out a new version that's just called Quacks with new artwork, whereas I have the original. A bag building game where you do not want your potion to explode, but you want to get as many things in your potion as you can. You are Quacks, doctors, Quacks in Quedlinburg. And your job is to make the best potions you can make to solve fictitious diseases in your area. I think that's a theme. Basically, this is a big bag builder, but really the reason I like it is because there's always tension. Because if you're pulling out your tokens to put into your cauldron, and you to make your cauldron go round in this circle to make your potion bigger. Absolutely brilliant. But some of them work against you. The white ones work against you, and if your white ones add up to 7, your potion explodes and you don't get as much for that round. But what I really like about this game, there's 2 things I really like about this game. Firstly, if you explode, it's not the end of the world. It's not, if you explode, you're now never going to win the game. You've got to spend the next 40 minutes being miles behind. It's, you lose one of 2 benefits. At the end, if you don't explode, you get two benefits. You get points and you get some money to spend on your ingredients. If you explode, you can either take the points or take the money. So you just lose one. So I like the fact that it's not completely terrible if you explode your potion on any one of the 7 rounds. So that, or 9 rounds. That's the first thing I really like. And the second thing I like is there's a built-in catch-up mechanism. The further you are behind, you get what's called the rat's tails, which means your potion starts slightly more filled up than the person in the lead. And that little extra momentum can really help you catch up if you're behind. So there's a built-in catch-up mechanism, which I think more games should have, because sometimes in a game you're so far behind, you're like, oh no! No. So it's got a built-in catch-up mechanism, which I really enjoy, and there's nothing wrong, especially early in the game. A couple of explosions is fine, because you might only be getting 2 or 3 points, so you just ignore those and just concentrate on the money. And so sometimes it's actually a good thing to go for a couple of early explosions, but later on in the game, you really want to see how far you can get without. Every time you put your hand in that bag, do you take a risk and see it? And then when you buy better stuff, your bag just gets more and more full of good stuff, but you still might get bad. And then with the good stuff, there's four different cards for each colour, which have different rules on it. So every time you play, you can play with a different combination of rules for the different coloured potion ingredients, which means there's lots of replayability because the game you're playing is always slightly different. Number 19, that is the Quacks of Quedlinburg. Nice and easy to teach. The tactile nature of taking something out of the bag and holding it out to give is a really nice thing to do as a feel, which is why I really like this game. So that is the Quacks of Quedlinburg. At number 18, now the number 18 is it's like a soft game. This is a game I like to just sit and play. When I get the opportunity to sit and just play Cascadia, I find it it's very calming. This game makes me calm. You've got two things, a little bit like when I was speaking in a previous video, I was speaking about harmonies. You're scoring points on 2 layers. Every turn, you take a tile which you add to your tableau to create your area. That might be a watery area, a sandy area, a foresty area, a mountainous area. You're taking one, and at the end of the game, you score points for whether you've got the biggest or best of that particular area all combined. So you're looking at creating your landscape with big single areas. But every single tile has an animal or a few animals on top. And you also, every turn, have to put an animal on one of the tiles. And you score points for how you can arrange your animals. So every time you take a tile, you're like, well, I can put it anywhere. But if I put it here, it's better for the underneath, it's better for my landscape. But if I put it here, I can put an animal on it that satisfies this particular animal's rules. And there are 5 different animals, but again, there's many versions of each one. So every game you can play a different set of rules, and you're like, I want these animals to be in a row. I want these animals to be congregated here. I want these animals to be in small groups, or I want a group of 1, a group of 2, a group of 3. Having that constant thought process about how and where you're going to place your animals, as well as how to arrange the underneath, the landscape you're creating, means you're solving 2 puzzles all at the same time in a really just beautiful, simple, enjoyable game. Love the mechanisms, really like playing this with the family, easy to get to the table, easy to play, and that is number 18, Cascadia. So we move on to number 17. Number 17 is a game I bring to so many family game nights. Or friends game nights. This is a game night game that goes at the end or at the beginning to get you into the game, at the end just have a few. This is Diamant, also often called Ink and Gold. I cannot remember whether it was Diamant first or Ink and Gold first. 2005, designers are Bruno Fatuidi and Alan Moon. This game is, again, it's another do I take a risk by taking another turn game. You are in a cave. You're going into these caves. There are 5 caves. You go into the cave and there are little diamonds. And every time you go into the cave, a card gets turned out and you and your fellow explorers move into that room. That might give you diamonds. If there's diamonds can't be split evenly, they go on the card. And then every turn you choose whether you're going to run away or stay for another room. But why would you run away? You would run away because there are also bad things that happen in these caves. You might have boulders or trebuchets or snakes or spiders or lava. And if you get one of those cards, no problem. But if you get a second one of the same type, then you lose all the money you gained for that cave. So everyone that ran away took what they had already got and had their money. Whereas if you risked staying in to get more money, you also risk losing it all. So it's a constant risk of, do I want to stay in for one more room, or do I lose all my money, or do I want to stay in for one more room and get the big one? If you're the last person that hasn't run away and the number 17 card gets turned over, you've suddenly got loads and loads and loads of money, and they're all like, I wish I'd run away. But the best bit is where you run away and the next card over is the card that stops the cave, and you're like, yes, it's that, having that moment where you're the perfect time to run away. Everyone always enjoys it. It's quick, it's simple. I love the action of just holding your fist out and opening it up to see if you drop your man or not, to say if you're running away. There are other ways to play that bit, but that's my favourite way of doing that. Really good, solid, fun. Take it to lots of family days and friend game days. That is Ink and Gold, or as I've got the version, Diamant. So that was number 17. So we move on to number 16, and we're back to two-player games. You guys know already that I like a two-player game. You guys are aware that I enjoy two-player games, and this is the next two-player game, which is Patchwork. Uwe Rosenberg, 2014. This is Patchwork. This is such a simple polyomino game. You have a little playmat. You are trying to build the best quilt. That is it. You are trying to create the best quilt that you can create. Nice and simple, and you do it by, on your turn, you can take one of the next 3 available patches and you put it on your board and try and arrange it to not leave any spaces, because you want there to be no spaces in your patch work. Each tile has a different cost, so you have to pay buttons to buy a patch, but it also costs time, and it has this really interesting mechanism where if you have used the most time, then the other person gets to keep having turns until they've caught you up on the time board. And so it's all about, you could take a tile that costs a lot of buttons and also costs a lot of time, because it might be a more complex tile that you have to spend longer sewing thematically. So, but that's okay. But then the other person might then be able to take 2 or 3 tiles before you get another turn. So you're always wondering, do I take the good tiles or do I take the cheaper tiles? But if your tile has a button on it, if your tile has buttons drawn on it that you take, that is also income. And there are various times in the game where everyone earns income. When you go over a certain space, you get income. So you're always like, that one costs more, but it will come with income for the rest of the game. So do you take a high cost income tile, or do you take a cheaper tile that doesn't have any income, but it does fill space on your board? And some of the cheap ones are really big and can fill up a lot of space on your board, even though they don't come with the extra benefits of income. I really enjoy it. It never really fails. It's a solid 2-player game that looks good, feels good, and that is Patchwork. It's doing really well. People always talk about Patchwork as one of their favourites, and I agree with them. Yes, I do. So that is number 16, Patchwork. We move on to number 15, another P game. This is a dexterity game. I don't have many dexterity games going on. This is Pitch Car. Pitch Car is, you set up a racetrack and you flick your circular disc race car around the racetrack. Who can get around the racetrack in the fewest hits? Everyone takes it in turns. Who's quickest to do 1 lap or 2 laps or 3 laps? What I really enjoy doing is setting it up and then just almost like time trialing. I used to play Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo in the early 90s. The Mario Kart was brilliant. And there was this mode on there where you could just time trial. How quickly can I get round? And then you could just time trial to try and beat your time. You can do that. I do exactly the same on here. I set up a track and I'm like, can I get round in 5 hits? And if you get round in 5 hits, can I get round in 4? Can I get that perfect hit where you swing around the corners and do it? So this is a game you can play solo. You can play on your own and do really cool stuff. Or you can play with 8 different cars on the track and have 8 different people around, taking it in turns, flipping it to try and beat them. And then, there are times when you're in the way and all I can do is bash me into you and hopefully get around you. Can I find a way around? It's a good game. It's a great game. I've got Pitch Car Mini. I've also got the big version, the Pitch Car, the full version. But I tend to prefer the mini one, whereas I think a lot of people prefer the bigger one. And you can go to conventions and things where people have got big pitch car tracks going on. Riotous and fun. So that is my number 15, Pitch Car. So we move on to number 14, which is a party game, a family game, a silly game. That's not a hat. That's not a hat. It's a memory game. And in this memory game, you just get cards with simple little drawings on there. But you get it, you remember what it is, you can even show everyone else what it is, so everyone knows what's on that card. You then turn it over and you gift it to someone. And you say, this is a guitar. And they'll say, thank you for your guitar. This is, and they will give left or right depending on the card, this is a hat. And they'll say, thank you for your hat. This is a popcorn. They say, thank you for the popcorn. This is a globe. And as you go around the table, everyone is moving them and giving them to each other, but you've got to remember what they are. And suddenly you're looking at the one in front of you, and all you're thinking is, only remember the one in front of you, because the rest don't really matter. But they do in the end, and even then, you cannot remember the one that's in front of you. I've got a dog. I've got a dog. I've got a dog. Someone gives you something that says, this is a spade. Thank you for your spade. This is a dog. Now you're like, I've got a spade. But sometimes, because other people are doing stuff, you just don't. And you end up with these situations where everyone is just sitting around there in absolute hysterics. People are just laughing and crying because they're like, I don't know what I've got in front of me. And you're like, yes, but you've got to style it out. And it's like, so you have to confidently just smile and go, this is a banana. And everyone goes, that's not a banana. The banana's over there. Or there's never been a banana in the game. It's so many ridiculous, silly situations happen in this game. It's just fun for the family, fun for friends, fun at Christmas. This is That's Not a Hat. And we move on then to number 13, a much older game, 1996. This is Chronology. Chronology is a game that me and my family played many years ago, before I was into board games. This is just one of the games that happened to be in my family before I realised that board games was a thing that I wanted to do a lot more of. In Chronology, every card has a date and something that happened on that day. It might say the pestle and mortar was invented. It might say, 1850, Birdseye, the company started freezing food. I don't know, that date might be wrong, obviously. So every single one's got a thing, and it ranges from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, all the way up to things that have happened in the last 20 years, 30 years. And what you've got to do is you've got to place them on your timeline. So it says, when did this happen? When was Moby Dick written? Someone reads a card to you and says, Moby Dick was written in this year. And you've got to go, where in my timeline does that go? Was Moby Dick written after 1600 or before 1600 if you've only got one card? But once you've got lots of cards, you're like, where does it fit? Does Moby Dick fit in the 1700s? Is it between 1827 and 1894? Is it between 1910 and 1914? Where in your timeline does it fit? And if you get it right, then you can take another card. If you want to, you can then bank all the ones you got right and they stay forever. But if you want to take another card and risk having another turn before the next person, then you can take another one. The advantage, you have more cards. The disadvantage is, if you get it wrong, you lose all the ones you haven't banked so far. This is such a beautiful, beautiful, simple game. And half the time, you don't even have a clue. Sometimes a card comes up and I'm like, when was the paperclip invented? And I'm like, that could have been any time from the beginning of time to now. I don't know when the paperclip was invented, but can I try and work out where it goes in my timeline? You don't have to be a history buff. You don't have to be someone who's like, I know all about the dates and all about everything. You just have to just try and work it out and think, where do I reckon this probably sits? I've had so much fun with Chronology. Again, it's one of those games that every time I bring it out at friends' events and things like that, people are like, oh, I'm not sure, whatever. But then they love it. And, it's one of those games that just, it's always one that is popular with people. So I like Chronology, and that is my number 13. Which means we move on to number 12. There's only 2 more in this list today. And in number 12 is Earth 2023 Maxim Tardif. This is a much bigger game. And it's an engine building game, but there's so much going on. It's one of those games where there's like 1 million cards. You get this massive stack of cards and you just have to, every single time different fauna is coming out, different cards are coming out. But it's such a beautiful mechanism. And the best thing about this game is the action mechanism is that when you choose your action, if it's your turn and you choose your action, everyone else gets to have a turn as well, and they do a lesser version of that action. So you're not sitting there going, I've had my turn, and now I've got to wait 10 minutes before my turn again, or 5 minutes before my turn again. You are doing something on every single turn. And if they choose the red action, then they get some soil, which allows them to buy some stuff later and then put stuff in their compost. You get a smaller amount of soil or to do something in your compost. But not just that, everyone then gets to run their red engine. If someone chooses blue, everyone then gets to run their blue engine. If someone chooses yellow, everyone gets to run their yellow engine, which means the engine you're building up can be used over and over and over again. And there's just so many ways to play and win this game. Do you just go with yellow, which is getting more cards, because that also allows you to build trees? Do you just go with blue, which allows you to put sprouts onto your board and collect those? Is that a great way to do it? Red is what gets you soil, which allows you to pay for stuff, but you can also use that to build up points in another way. Green is where you actually plant and create your tableau. So a lot of people are going to be going green a lot to build their tableau. Can you get a way to make green and also an engine that helps you out even more than it helps other people? There's also race elements. There are cards where the first person to have 4 reds in a row gets 15 points and the second person only gets 8 points. And so there's race to achieve certain objectives. It might be a race to have a certain number of a type of plant. It might be a race to have a certain number of a type of icon in a row or in a column. So it's like, and you're racing to those. But you've also got your own personal objectives that the better you do at them, the better you score at the end of the game. And there are some group objectives. And this is one of the things about this game. So many ways to score points. Are you scoring points by concentrating on trees and canopies? Are you concentrating on sprouts? Are you concentrating on the ecosystem cards that get you the points at the end of the game? Are you concentrating on the races? You can't concentrate on them all. Which ones are you going to do best with? I won a game the other day because I had what's called a terrain card, which is a brown card that has no use in terms of the engine, but gave me a really good end of scoring points. And I ended up, winning because I had lots of end scoring points, even though my engine wasn't as good. It's just, this game is deep. There's a lot to it. I've not played the expansion. I think it's called Abundance. Is it Earth? Abundance is the expansion. Not played it. I've not added it in. The actual game itself, I think, is phenomenal. It's brilliant. And I like, isn't it great when a game, how many points did you score? 400 points or something like this. No, not that many, obviously. But I think, you're usually in that 200 points. And if you're scoring 200 points in a game, it feels really good to say, I scored 200 points. I like it. Earth. I like it a lot. Well designed. And the last one for today, the last game in today's number 11, just missed out on the top 10. It feels bad. It's crying in its box because it didn't get to the top 10, but it'll survive, and that is Welcome to. Again, there are lots of variations of Welcome to. I mostly play just the original Welcome to, but there's also Welcome to the Moon, and there's Welcome to different places, and there's expansions to the original where you're doing different things. For me, even the original is completely worth it. In Welcome to, you are putting house numbers on streets, which couldn't sound more simple if it tried. You are putting house numbers on streets, and every time you take a house number, you do another action at the same time. That might be building a swimming pool, it might be building a park, it might be building a fence to separate out houses, to kind of create little sections within your roads. It might be that you get to, if you've got a 12, you might put a 12A, which gets you another house property. There's loads of different, so every single time you take a number, you also take an action, and everyone's doing it. But the thing I love about this game is everybody has the same puzzle. And it's a really interesting game mechanism where you're all playing the game. This can be a 2-player game or 1-player game to see what score you get. It can be a 2 or a 3 or a 4-player game. It could be 100 people playing at the same time. It makes no difference because you're all playing the same game. 3 numbers get turned over and 3 actions get turned over, and you must choose one of the numbers and the associated action that goes with that number. And then another 3 get turned over, another 3 get turned over. Everyone is doing the same, so it doesn't matter how many people are playing. You can just look at everyone's scores at the end and see who wins. There's no turns because everyone does their turns at the same time. It's simultaneous play, which means you're not waiting. So if you do have 100 players, you're not waiting for 99 people to have their turn before it's your turn again. You're all playing all of the time. You can get, there's objectives where can you get, using the fences, a certain numbered houses. You need a block of 5 and a block of 2 and a block of 2. First person gets a certain number of points. Everyone else, if they do it, gets a lesser number of points. So you've got these race elements that are in there. First person to complete all 3, then the whole game ends and everyone tucks up their score. Or the first person to be in a situation where 3 times they've not been able to put a house down because they've numbered them badly. If I have a 6 and then a gap and then a 7, nothing can go in between a 6 and a 7. So it might be that I've got gaps and I can't place houses. It might be that all of the numbers that are available in that round, I can't put on my board. Say that I've got 7, 8, 9 on each row, and then 7, 8, and 9 comes out, I can't put them anywhere. And so if you do that 3 times, that's also a way to win the game. So it's about cleverly and intelligently taking the correct numbers at the right times to arrange it. I love playing Welcome To. I play it in person a lot. I play it on Board Game Arena a lot, and it's a really fantastic game. So let's have a recap. I always do a recap here. In 20th, Flip 7. In 19th, The Quacks of Quedlinburg. In 18th, Cascadia. In 17th, Diamant or Inkengold. In 16th, Patchwork. In 15th, Pitch Car. In 14th, That's Not a Hat. In 13th, Chronology. In 12th, Earth. And in 11th, Welcome To. They are the ones that I've just missed out on the prize place of the top 10. They are close, but they're not there. And you know what? You will soon find out what is there, because absolutely tomorrow, the last video will come out, which will be Alex Puglisi's Nifty 50 Top 10. If you have enjoyed this content, if you've enjoyed learning and hearing about these games, and you like the games, please do subscribe. And if you can, in the comments, are any of these games in particular games that you like? What's your favourite game from this list? What is your 11 to 20 if you have your own top 50? I would love to know all these things and find out more about all the different people that are out there playing board games. Now, just remember, if you are enjoying playing board games, go and play them. Thank you very much. This is Alex Puglisi, Alex on Board Games, and I'll see you soon.